Hello, I'm Wander001 and this is my review of the Echo Dot version 3. I have previously done a review of the predecessor to the version 3 here, the Echo Dot version 2. Review can be found over in the corner, but they came out with a new one. The big selling point of this one is the bigger, better speaker than the version 2 had. So let's just quickly go over the specs of the version 3 here. So you are looking at a device that is 3.9 inches wide by 3.9 inches high because it is a circle and has a depth of 1.7. Now, it is considerably heavier than the Echo Dot version 2 at 10.6 ounces or 300 grams. The top of the device is a matte plastic finish. You'll notice that you have 4 little pinholes there. Those are for the 4 speakers that the Echo Dot version 3 has, as opposed to the 7 speakers that the Echo 2 version 2 had. I'm just going to start calling them that because saying it every time is going to be a mouthful. On the top of the device, aside from the little pinholes you have for the microphones, you also have this LED light ring, which will light up, I'll show you a little later, when you activate the Echo with the activation or trigger phrase. You will also notice later that the light will change a slightly lighter portion as it's following you around to let you know which microphone is listening to you. So you have your volume up hard key, your volume down hard key, your trigger phrase activation, so you don't always have to use your voice to activate it. You can just push on that and ask your question, and then a dedicated hard mute button. Sadly, even though Echo has come a long way and made a lot of changes when I first got the version 2 to the version 3 here, they still will not let you actuate the mute action by voice. You do have to use this hard button right here. Now, coming down, the big change that the Echo version 3 here has is this. This is your speaker grill, and it goes pretty much all the way around the device except for that little cutout. Now, this is fabric, so very similar to the Google Home Mini review over there. So they kind of have upscaled a little bit compared to, I'm just going to grab off camera here, the Echo Dot version 2, which you can see is just a shiny bit there. And if we come up to the top, you'll see the perforated cutouts for these 7 microphones up here. Notice that the version 3 is considerably thicker. So while this one was about the size of a hockey puck, this one is chunkier, and that's because of the bigger speaker that outperforms the Echo Dot version 2 in every way, shape, and form. Coming around to the back here, you will notice that you have just 2 ports, similar to how you had just 2 ports in the back of the Echo Dot version 2. You will see a major difference. They both have the 3.5 millimeter output, so you can attach these hardline to a better speaker, which you probably wanted to do with your Echo Dot 2. Echo Dot 3 maybe not so much, but you'll notice the Echo Dot 2 here has a micro USB port, while the version 3 has a dedicated power line. So sadly, unlike with the version 2 where you could just grab any old micro USB cable and plug it in, this one, if you screw up the power cable that comes with it, you have to get another dedicated power cable from Amazon. Now, flipping it over to the bottom, you have a rubberized texture all around, and it does pick up dirt and dust rather easily, but it helps it to stay in place. So notice I'm putting a bit of force behind it just to see what it'll do, and it's not moving. So let me show you the power cable since I happen to be talking about it, just so you get an idea of what you're looking at. So you have here a 6-foot cable, and there is your dedicated in with a power brick that is 1.5 by 1.5 by 2 inches. So it is definitely different than the previous plug that you had with the version 2. It does sit considerably closer to the wall. However, the footprint is much bigger than the old version. So that is something, again, to keep in mind. You do get more cableage than you did with the original Echo 2, but you do have trade-offs, so to speak. One of your next questions, aside from, differences between the Echo Dot version 2 and version 3 would probably be how easy is it to set up the Echo. This may be your first device that you're getting to help you with home automation or just to have a voice assistant. So let me show you how easy it is to set up the Echo version 3. Okay, this is going to be setting up of the Echo Dot version 3. Start off by plugging it in and waiting. And this is all in real time to give you an idea, just in case yours takes this long, that you don't panic.
Hello. Your device is ready for setup. Just follow the instructions in your Alexa app.
Alright, so I turned that down a little bit so that it's not overwhelmingly loud. So we're going to go into the Echo app that shall not be named, and we come down and select in the lower right hand corner the devices area, and then we come up to the plus sign here and select that we have a new device. And then we have choices. Amazon Echo Lights plugs. We are going to select an Echo. And this is the Echo Dot. I see that they have lots of different choices, but they don't differentiate Dot 1, version 2, or version 3. So we're going to select version 3. Okay, so here it actually does show you the difference, which is nice. So version 3 or version 1 and 2. You can skip this step if you wanted to, but I'm not going to. We're going to say version 3. And then here is the available device. I'm going to select that, and it's asking us to select our Wi-Fi, so we are going to put it on PAL there, because that's where I put all of my IoT devices. And now we wait for it to connect the dot. So you can kind of see in the background there. Put the phone over to the side, so maybe it'll be a little easier to see as it's spinning with color. So there you go. Your Echo Dot is now set up. Tap continue.
Your device is ready.
Yeah, so there we go. It says the device is ready. So we click to continue. And then here we go. We got extra things. So connect cable, Bluetooth, use Echo's built-in speaker. So we are going to say use the built-in speaker. And now it's just bringing me back to the main login page. So this is actually set up. So if I said, Alexa, what is the weather in Gettysburg?
In Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, it's 48 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies. Today, you can look for lots of clouds, with a high of 49 degrees and a low of 39 degrees.
And that's the setup. All right, so like you saw, it's that simple. Yes, it did take a little more time, but that's in real time. You'll notice now that I also have the Echo plugged in. So we're going to talk about some of the brains of the operation after the few little extras that we have to talk about with the actual device. Because the thing is, the Echo ecosystem, everything is done in the cloud. So realistically, we're looking at the peripheral here. This is a means to get to all of that Amazon data. So you are looking at being able to support dual band Wi-Fi, so 802.11 ABGN and AC, as well as 5 gigahertz, same thing, ABG and AC. So I would recommend sticking with the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum so that you can place this further away. While the 5 gigahertz spectrum can be faster, it limits your range with these things. Now, I have also limited the amount of data that this can use over my network, mainly because I have a lot of home automation things plugged in and I don't want them choking my network. So keep in mind that anything that I reference with the version 3 to the version 2, I have also done to the version 2. So I've limited the network capability to 1.5 meg up and down for this, as well as I did for the version 2. Now, I still have 2 other Echo Dots in my house. This has replaced the one that was sitting in my bedroom. So I still have the one in my kitchen, and the other old Echo Dot version 2 is now going to live in my second bedroom. Now, one of my concerns with the new version, gonna do that for a second, new version versus the old version is the build quality. The build quality is excellent with this, but similar to my complaints with the Google Home Mini, this fabric limits my placement of where I can put this because I don't want to get this dirty. The other Echo Dot that I have lives in my kitchen. There's grease splatter over it everywhere, and I just wipe it off, wipe it down, and I don't have to worry about it. With something like this around the device, it kind of makes it so that I'm concerned about where to put this. If you're putting this in a living room or a bedroom situation, you won't have to worry. But if you're considering putting it in your kitchen, you're definitely going to want to consider where in your kitchen you're going to put this. Just something to think about. Now, you did see me mute the device. You can see this red ring around there. That indicates that it is no longer listening. And from this point in the video on, I will be saying the trigger phrase quite frequently. Now, with the trigger phrases, you have choices. It doesn't just have to be what you hear on the TV, which is Alexa. You can also use computer or Amazon. Now, I've tried using computer because, well, I'm a nerd, and Star Trek, but you're going to probably utter the word computer or hear computer uttered on your TV set a lot more than you would Alexa or Amazon. Now, since I mentioned TV set, placement of these is key. I do have one that lives under my entertainment center, and it does get triggered occasionally from people talking on the TV. Now, that's not them saying the trigger phrase, it just arbitrarily goes off every now and then. Still haven't figured out why. Every time it happens, I send in a report and I go, false flag, it shouldn't be doing that. Why is it doing that? So keep in mind, it may turn on by itself. All you have to do is say trigger phrase stop or trigger phrase turn off. If you happen to be watching a program, something like South Park that rickrolled a whole bunch of people who had Echo devices by their TV sets, just keep in mind that is a possibility. You can always just mute it, but you have to use the physical button. So we're going to take the mute off, and I'm going to start saying the trigger phrase a lot, so please keep that in mind. Starting off, I say Alexa, and you will notice blue light all around. Now, I'm going to shadow that just a little bit because I want you to see, I'm going to say stuff, and the light will change slightly. Alexa. So when I come over here, you can see that light is slightly moving because it's trying to figure out which microphone to use to listen to me. And you did hear her maybe say, because I have the lapel mic on so you can't really hear it that well, I really don't know that one, because she couldn't figure out what I was talking about. Now, aside from the built-in mics on this, it also has technology called far-field communication. So if you happen to have more than one of these in your house, it will be able to determine which one is closer to you and use that echo in order to actuate a particular skill, which is very helpful so you don't have 2 of them trying to run the same skill at once. And that's also why all the other echoes that are still plugged in are muted in my house, so I don't have to worry about that. There are a lot of things that you can do with the Echo here. It has basic knowledge information, you can run queries, you can do math, all that fun happy stuff that I talked about in the other Echo Dot version 2 video has not changed. It still is capable of doing that because the brains, the Alexa, all lives, say, I can use the button to turn it off if I wanted to. All lives in the cloud, but because it lives in the cloud, a lot of the things that I was talking about have changed. They've made improvements, mainly being routines. Routines is something that I wanted but didn't know how to talk about it in the last video. I wanted to set up a routine for my bedtime where I would say trigger phrase, action, and then things would turn themselves on and off in my home automation system. At the time, they didn't have that, but now they do. With routines, you can set up multiple actions to happen where things turn on and off just by saying a single trigger phrase. Now, in this case, the trigger phrase that I use is good night. When I say good night, things happen. Now, because it's smart also, when I say good night, it does not say the acknowledgement phrase. So if I said, Alexa, turn on living room lights.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to turn that up a little bit. Alexa, turn off living room lights.
Okay.
Notice how she says, okay. When I say the good night one, she does not say anything. Now, you will notice that I did turn up the volume a little bit. The volume scale is based off of 1 to 10. Unlike in previous versions, you can actually now tell it to Alexa, increase the volume, which will move it up by 1 in the slot of 10, which is kind of nice that it does that now. Another thing that they've added is shortened acknowledgements. I don't use that because I don't mind it saying okay. However, I do like the fact that it has whisper mode. So if you have this in a child's bedroom and you say, Alexa, turn on bedroom lights.
A few things share that name. Which one did you want?
Bedroom light.
Okay.
So you can whisper to it and it will whisper back to you. And I really appreciate this one, especially since I have a light in my bedroom, which my wife sometimes comes into bed a little later than I do. And the one light is a TP-Link light over there, smart light. So she can use this to turn it on and off and not wake me up because it's nice and quiet. The other thing that they did is they created groups. So I have one group in my entire house, which is just everywhere. And that is every Echo device that I have, I can tell it to play some music and it will play that everywhere on all the devices all at once. Another thing that I complained about was I wish I could trigger music from this device, but to play on a different device. Well, guess what? Amazon does that now. I can trigger something from here over there. Now, the one thing that still irks me a little bit is I want be able to have a flash briefing, which is just a grouping of skills that kind of is like a bulleted news report, start on one, finish on another, or trigger it from one to the other. That one will not work. Also, and I think I figured this out, is because flash briefing is a skill, if I were to do that skill and then try and trigger a TP-Link skill to turn something on or off, it kills the flash briefing. If you were playing music and went to a trigger skill, the music would mute down and then the skill would happen and the music would come back. So that's kind of nice. So one of the things that still can be an issue, you may have noticed, I don't know if you heard it for sure with the whisper mode activated, there were things that shared a similar namesake, but I have found, especially since it's around the holidays with my Christmas tree, you don't have to be exact with the wording that you say to trigger something of that nature. So let me show you what that looks like. Alexa, turn on Christmas tree.
Okay.
Alexa, turn off Christmas tree.
Okay.
Alexa, turn on Christmas lights.
Okay.
Alexa, turn off Christmas lights.
Okay.
Alexa, turn on Christmas.
Okay.
Alexa, turn off Christmas.
Okay.
So, not terrible. It, as you saw, it's just a little thing to consider. Now, a lot of the features that I've been talking about that the Echo Dot version 3 here can do require you to use the Amazon app. Now, to keep this video short, I do have a full review or walkthrough of the Amazon application, which can be found in the corner there. So if you wanted to see how to set some of these things up, like whisper mode or flash briefings, you can go check that video out, and that'll show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring the lapel mic over to the Echo here to give you an example of what the sound actually sounds like. Now, I'm not going to crank it all the way up. We're just going to start it up and let you hear something. Alexa, play rock music.
Here's a station for rock music, classic rock, on Amazon Music.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
Alexa, play latest episode of Daily Tech News Show.
Getting the latest episode of Daily Tech News Show. Here it is from TuneIn.
Thanks to everybody who supports independent tech news directly. If you're not already, become a DTNS member at patreon.com/DTNS.
So there you have a few examples of what the limited volume of this sounds like. Now that wasn't all the way up, just keep that in mind. This does crank much better than the Echo version 2 did. Now, one of the things I do want to talk about is the perceived delay that I noticed between the version 3 and the version 2. It is noticeable that it does take a little longer, it seems, to process your request. It's not terribly long, so it's not going to screw with your workflow at all. But I did notice when we first got this that it would take a little longer to process. And it's not terrible, just slightly noticeable. So one of the new things that they also have done, not necessarily with the version 3 here, but Amazon Echo devices now support multiple accounts. Now they did before, you just had to switch between the two, but now, similar to Google Home, this will recognize multiple vocal patterns and determine whose account should be used. And that is very useful, even though my wife doesn't use this quite as much as I do, except to turn things on and off. So aside from the speaker, one of the big things that is different between the version 3 and the version 2 is the power cable and power consumption. The version 3, because it does have a larger speaker, it does use a little more power. So when idling, it uses between 1.4 and 2 watts. And when you actually play something, it uses between 2.6 and 2.9 watts. Now, when you get your initial LED flare up there, it does use a spike of a bit more on both, but it's just limited to when the mics are being active and the LED is going. So not terrible. It's low enough in power usage that you can have a couple of these stacked around your house and not have to worry that they're going to chew up a lot of electricity. Now, I did try and limit being redundant between things that I covered in the Echo Dot version 2 review. I suggest if you're looking for like all of the skills and stuff that these devices can do, that you go check that out. I was trying to do a balancing act between the new things that the version 3 can do and just specific things that the version 3 has. But if you are looking for something that is your first foray into a voice assistant or a home automation hub, because you can use this for home automation, and for the most part, it talks to everything and anything, although Amazon has started down the road of producing its own home automation equipment. Over there is a review for a Amazon branded smart switch. So this is a platform for them. They're using it. But they're starting to limit who they talk to, which has me a little concerned. But it still talks to enough other vendors that I'm not terribly concerned. So the Echo Dot version 3 here is well worth considering, even though, depending on when you get this, the price can fluctuate. It's sitting at the normal price of, well, the past normal price of the Echo Dot version 2, which is anywhere between $50 and $25 on sale. I have seen it as low as $20 during some of the Christmas time stuff for 2018. But then you also have to consider the Echo Dot version 2 is going on sale as well, and it's slightly cheaper. So the question is, that $5 or $10 extra dollars, do you want to spend it on the version 3? Well, to you I say, do you need the better speaker? If your Dot is by something that you can plug into and have better speakers, then no, you don't need this. Personal opinion. But if you need the better speaker, then the version 3 is what you want to get. Now, with that said, I have been Wanderer001. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the area below. As always, thanks for watching.